Alright guys, we are back for another weekend of Championship action. Plenty to discuss in today's video. We had a handful of games going on in midweek, all of which will be discussed. But of course I'm interested to get your thoughts down below. Plenty of tough games to call, I'd say, this weekend. Big implications at the top and bottom. And without any further ado, let's jump into them. Starting out with the Friday night fixture, it's Stoke going up against Blackburn. Blackburn currently on a really impressive unbeaten run. It was their cherry on top, that result against Sheffield United last time out. A lot of 1-0ers that Blackburn have been involved with recently, particularly at Ewood, but why this unbeaten run has been so impressive from them has been because they've been so hard to beat on the road as well, and they will put up a really good effort in this one against a Stoke side who were fantastic last week and probably put in their best performance of the season so far, certainly the best that we've seen them under Alex Neil. 5 goals in the end against Stoke. Something that we've levelled against that Stoke side this season has been how wasteful they've actually been in the final third, but everything seemed to be falling for them. But I can't help but think that it would just be typical Stoke and typical of them this season for them to have that 5-star showing against Sunderland and then come into this game against Blackburn and then struggle to hit the target or anything like that. Blackburn have been really good at keeping things tight recently, and I don't think we're going to get a 5-goal thriller or anything like that in this one. I'm expecting it to be a lot more tight. Dare I say it, I think that Blackburn could just sneak this one on the road because of Stoke's inconsistency. So trying to get ahead of the curve, and I'm going to go 1-0 Blackburn there and predict the Stoke inconsistency to continue. Next up then to the early kickoff on Saturday, we've got Bristol City going up against Blackpool. Can Blackpool build on that point against Burnley last time? It was a good resolute defensive performance, but can they get anything going for them in the final third? From this point onwards, draws won't do for a side like Blackpool. They need to be stringing together a series of wins if they want to get out of the relegation zone. Don't think it's going to be easy up against a Bristol City side who have somewhat lost their flow over these last couple of matches. Had that defeat against Cardiff, had a good chance to bounce back in midweek against Huddersfield, and probably a game that they should have won, particularly with the chances they crafted out in the first half. Second half it became a little bit more even and Huddersfield started to grow into it, but I think they'll be looking back on that game and thinking we should have probably won that one. So coming into this game with the same sort of mentality, I'm expecting Blackpool to buckle up and make it tough for them, but I do think that with the extra bit of quality, Bristol City could take this one at home. Going to go with a slim margin again, 1-0 Bristol City. I'm saying, don't think there's going to be a world of difference in that one. A big game at the bottom next up, Birmingham up against Rotherham. Of course, Rotherham now above Birmingham in the league table. We spoke about how crucial that game to Birmingham was last time out against Wigan, in the end finishing as a 1-1 draw. Could have gone on to win that one had they converted the penalty, but it wasn't to be in the end. I think it was probably most important that they stopped that dreadful losing run that they had been on going into that Wigan game, but this one against Rotherham holds just as much importance. I've really been liking what I've been seeing from this Rotherham side lately. Thought last time out they were fully deserving of the 3 points against QPR. Jordan Hugill with an absolute colossal performance up front. On the road, Rotherham at times have been a little bit more happy to sort of settle for a point than they have been at home when they've gone after teams a little bit more aggressively, and so for that reasoning I wouldn't be surprised if this one does end level. But with Blues at the moment, they're a hard team to put your finger on. Score prediction here, going to sit on the fence between these two and go for a 1-1er. Next then to Turf Moor for Burnley up against Wigan. Burnley looking to return to winning ways after playing out that goalless draw last time with Blackpool, and I would say that this is a decent opportunity to go ahead and do so. Wigan, who were in action in midweek, maybe a little bit more lethargic perhaps than Burnley, who have had that extra recovery on them. And once again for Wigan, it was another game of quite fine margins whereby the opposition's only got over the line by 1 goal, but I just don't see the quality in that squad at the moment. Defensively they have shaped up, but going forward and offering up much of a goal threat, I'm really struggling to see where the goals are going to come from this Wigan squad if they are going to get over the line and survive. Going to a place like Burnley, who have been absolutely sublime at Turf Moor this season, I really can't see this any other way than a Burnley hammering. But to be fair, I said the same about the game against Blackpool and it didn't turn out that way in the end. Wigan, they have been better at the back, but I'm expecting Burnley to have quite the easy afternoon here. 3-0 Burnley, I'd say that's quite realistic. This is a game which I'm really looking forward to seeing the outcome of. Coventry up against Hull has the potential to be quite an entertaining one actually. It's two managers going up against each other who I'm a fan of. Coventry on a fantastic run, scoring plenty of goals. Gyökeres and Hamer absolutely bossing every side they're coming up against at the moment. But they are going up against a Hull side who I have really really enjoyed watching under Liam Rossini. Shaped things up at the back, and it was a brilliant win for them last time against West Brom. Had that bit more quality about them in the final third, and ultimately I think that's what this sort of game will come down to. Hull, I'm expecting a good tactically set up away performance, but Coventry, with that extra bit of star power that Gyökeres can produce, may just about swing it for the home side and continue on their impressive unbeaten run. So score prediction here, I'm going to go 2-1 Coventry, but a draw wouldn't massively surprise me. Next then, to deep down for Preston up against Cardiff. This is the two lowest scoring sides in the division going up against each other this weekend, so I'm not expecting a thriller by any means, but boy, how I would love to be proven wrong here and for it to be a 5-all or something like that, just to inject a little bit of excitement into both Preston and Cardiff fans' lives. But something tells me we're not going to get that from this game. To be fair, it does feel as if the parts are slowly starting to fall into place for Sabri Lamucci at Cardiff. It was a great win last time against Bristol City, and there has been a notable upturn in their performances recently, albeit still not the most amount of goals in that side. The same can also be said of Preston though. It did feel as if the pressure on Lowe at one point had reached boiling point, but since that we've sort of reverted back to the side we were at the start of the season, where we've made ourselves tough to beat and ground out a lot of results, but ultimately the quality in the final third just hasn't been there for us. We are unbeaten in 5, but 4 of those have been draws, a lot of goalless ones in that time. So coming into this weekend, I think that's the way I'm sort of swaying for this one. Goalless draw seems like everything points towards it. 1 goal either way would probably go on to win this one, but I'm saying 0-0. QPR up against Watford. Chris Wilder's returned to the Championship, and to be honest, he couldn't have asked for a better fixture to walk into as his first one as Watford manager. And looking at their next few matches, there is a real possibility that he does hit the ground running and manages to gather a little bit of momentum, and that's exactly what this Watford side needs. They need a jump start to really kickstart their season for this tail end of the year, because there is still a very good possibility that with a decent run of results they will make the top 6. Under Bilic, I think they weren't going to go ahead and do that. They were looking quite a way off the pace, but what an opportunity here to go ahead and get back to winning ways, playing the only Championship side yet to win a match in the calendar year of 2023. Ainsworth, since coming in at QPR, I think has found things pretty tough. 2 matches, 2 losses. I would have said this game would have been a lot closer with Bilic in charge, but with the added factor of a new manager bounce at Watford, I think they take this one on the road. Score prediction here, going to go 2-1 Watford, and for QPR's troubles to pile up. Next then for Reading up against Millwall. Reading were in action in midweek up against Sheffield United, looking to bounce back from that pretty grim display they had at the weekend against Middlesbrough. Didn't go their way against Sheffield United. Bit more in terms of what they offered in that game, a little bit more of a goal threat. Andy Carroll caused a bit of a nuisance up front, but ultimately Sheffield United walked away with all 3 points, and this Reading team just doesn't seem to have that much about them at the moment. Millwall undoubtedly the favourites coming into this one. They will be looking to bounce back from that loss last time against Norwich, and dare I say, I think there are some pretty winnable fixtures coming up here for Millwall. They've slipped out of the top 6 into 7th at the moment, but with 3 upcoming matches against Reading, Swansea and Huddersfield, all very winnable for this Millwall side. If they do string together back-to-back wins or 3 wins on the bounce here, they will be right back up there in the playoff picture. Reading at home do throw a spanner in the works from time to time, but I think I'm backing Millwall on this occasion. 2-0 to Millwall in this one, I'm saying. And a big game this weekend at Bramall Lane. I mean, they're all big from here on in for Sheffield United, but up against Luton Town, this one will be a really interesting litmus test to see just where this Sheffield United side is at the moment and what their current levels are, because I really like the look of Luton over these past few weeks. Good win for Luton last time out, 1-0 against Swansea. Could have been more comfortable in the end, but they'll now be flipping their attention to this one against the Sheffield United side, who have restored their lead to 7 points now over Middlesbrough with that win in midweek. Wasn't a vintage performance or the most entertaining game in the end, but results are all that count for at this point for Sheffield United. And when you've got a player as good as Ndiaye in that squad, arguably the best player in the league, you always stand a chance of coming out on top in matches like this. In the reverse fixture between these two earlier on in the season, there wasn't much to separate them. That ended as a 1-1er down at Kenilworth Road, and dare I say, I think this game could follow along on a similar path. Score prediction here, going to go for a 1-1er between those two, which will be an interesting result. And speaking of the automatic promotion race, we are going to Swansea next up for Swansea up against Middlesbrough. With That in mind for Middlesbrough, obviously the Sheffield United win in midweek, which has restored their lead to 7 points. Now I think all their attention will be on doing the best that they can and sort of seeing where that'll take them come the final few weeks of the season. And dare I say it, I think there are some potential banana skins coming up for Sheffield United, and especially looking at Middlesbrough's next 4 fixtures, I think they're all very winnable for the position they find themselves in at the moment. And after those 4 games, they've got a bit of a crunch match against Burnley, but should they, manage to string together a series of wins here, I definitely think they have it in them to go ahead and apply that pressure to the Blades, even with that 7-point gap between them at the moment. I think Middlesbrough are the overwhelming favourites coming into this game. Really like what I saw from them last time. Plenty of goals and goal-mouth action, and against a Swansea side who haven't been scoring a lot lately, have been looking very passive in their overall performances, and who have sunk down the league like a stone recently as the pressure continues to crank up on Martin. Prediction here, I'm going 3-0 Middlesbrough on the road. Really feel like that could get ugly for Swansea. After that, for West Brom up against Huddersfield. Both sides were in action in midweek. West Brom having that win over Wigan 1-0 in the end. Probably could have been a little bit more comfortable given the chances they crafted out. West Brom were the aggressors in that one, and in the end I think had it a little bit easy given Wigan's lack of quality and cutting edge in the final third. And dare I say, it could be heading towards a similar type of game in this one. Huddersfield, it was a good battling point for them in midweek against Bristol City. I think massively rode their luck at times in that first half, but was an improvement after the break and offered a little bit more going forward themselves. The problem at the moment, and we do paint those points that teams in the bottom 3 pick up as a positive at the moment, but ultimately they're not going to be enough. Picking up draws for Huddersfield, Blackpool and Wigan at this stage of the season isn't going to do anything to claw the ground back on the teams above them, and they need to be winning matches. Do I see Huddersfield going to West Brom and doing something? I'm not sure. West Brom having that extra bit of quality, the confidence from the win in midweek, I think they take this one, to be honest. I don't think it's going to be a rollover, but I'm going to go 1-0 to the Baggies. And then our final prediction for the weekend. On Sunday we head to Carrow Road for Norwich up against Sunderland. This one has the potential to be a really entertaining matchup as well. Not the best time that Sunderland could be playing this fixture after shipping 5 against Stoke, going against a very informed Norwich side who are scoring a lot of goals at the moment. We could have maybe a similar repeat of that, but I mean, I'm fascinated personally to see how Mowbray and this squad bounces back from what was by far and away their worst performance of the season last time out. We have seen teams completely flip it like that and turn it around, but going to a place like Carrow Road where Norwich have been really strong under Wagner especially after coming off the back of that win away at Millwall last time, turning it around to get that 3-2 in the end. There's a lot of attacking quality with this Norwich side, and I just think if Sunderland are as passive in midfield and at the back as they were in that Stoke game, Norwich could have a bit of a field day here. I am expecting improvement from Sunderland, but I'm still going to go for a Norwich win. 2-1 Norwich, I'm saying, for this one, and for their impressive run to continue. That will wrap it up for today's video though, guys. Some tricky ties to call in there. Be interested to see which way you guys are swaying for some of those. If you did go on to enjoy, do leave a like and get your comments down below. Apart from that though, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.